Labor Day. It is time for another episode of Batman, the Long Halloween podcast. It's me, your boy Seed, one of the hosts of this show, and I have, as always, these hard laboring podcasters themselves. Let's go around the room. Mr. Jermon Jackson is here. How you doing, sir?
Doing well, doing well. How's it going?
Excellent. It's going. Mr. Ninja Dave himself is also here. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Shaboing.
Shaboing, you boing. And Mr. Brian Martin is here with us as well. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm having a long Halloween of my own today.
Well, if that works, it works. So let's get into it, man. This is the Labor Day issue, like I said, of Batman Long Halloween. One of the seminal Batman joints, written by Jeff Loeb, probably on a toilet, and art by Sale. We do not know if he was on a toilet at the time. So let's just get right into it, man. My synopsis, as short as I tried to make it for this episode, is as such.
There was a lot in this one.
There's
a lot in this one.
Yeah.
I left out a lot of shit in order to keep this as tight as possible. The recently disfigured Harvey Dent is in the Gotham sewers. Batman and Jim Gordon meet on the roof of the police headquarters. Gordon accuses Batman of hiding suspicions of Dent. The two exchange heated words before Gordon tells Batman to locate Dent and leave the roof. Batman arrives at the bedroom window of Carmine Falcone. He asks the mobster for the location of Harvey Dent. He denies any knowledge of Dent's whereabouts and suggests that Batman and the police let Holiday continued killing for so long because it was his people being murdered. He says that his people are calling this year the Long Halloween. Gilda Dent, apparently hearing something in her basement, descends the stairs looking for Harvey. Instead, she finds Batman, who informs her that gunmetal was found in the grooves of Harvey's vice. Gilda implores Batman to find her husband. Batman once again questions the calendar man, who reminds Batman that it is Labor Day for a few more hours and that they have something Holiday wants. Jim Gordon, a heavily armed officer, arrive at Sal Maroni's cell to move him for security's sake. Maroni says he welcomes an attempt by Dent on his life. 2 shots take the top of the mobster's head smooth off. The armored officer leaps at the shadowy figure of Holiday and takes at least 4 bullets to the chest. Gordon grabs a flashlight and shines it at Holiday to reveal that the man standing over him is none other than the presumed dead Alberto Falcone. And oh my God, Batman is everywhere in this issue.
Good God, he got around.
He got around like Tupac in the gang.
He had to. He's been slipping.
You know what, Dave? You're not wrong. He's been one step behind the curve this entire time. And he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm making moves in Gotham today. He kept Uber in check.
Yeah.
The bad bullet
Stay
train.
right there. Stay right there. It's like, don't go.
You don't go. Yeah, I'll pay your fare. So, Jamon, man, what are your thoughts on Alberto Falcone being the holiday killer?
In all honesty, when I saw that, I thought it was Vernon. I thought it was Red Vernon. He looked a lot. He looked like squirrely as hell.
He didn't know until you read the synopsis just now that was Alberto. He thought it was Vernon.
That rat bastard.
The old simp ass Vernon out here. Fucking Vernon. Is this a surprise to you? Did the light come on?
Absolutely. I was just like, because he was. Wait a minute, Alberto was one of the first that got killed, wasn't he?
Alberto got killed on New Year's. He was killed on the boat.
Okay, yeah. That came, yeah. So I was just like, what? Wait, what?
So there's something very, very important there. And back in when we did the January episode, we spent a little time talking about how the editions that Jermon and I were reading from have a bonus scene inserted into that chapter where the coroner discovers Alberto's body, and it's been pecked to death by seagulls, right? And when the series first came out, I think a lot of readers assumed it had to be Alberto because there was never a body. And that's one of the first, like the cardinal things of mysteries is like, show us the body. If I don't see a body, that person's not dead. Right.
Yeah.
And I think they tried to, in later editions, sort of throw people off the track by throwing some breadcrumbs. Actually, seagulls love breadcrumbs. In this case, they love the breadcrumb that was the corpse that they tossed into Gotham Harbor.
See, now.
But I think that's the reason that scene is in there now.
Yeah, because the Holiday Killer, that's the reason that they went after the coroner.
Yeah, that's making a lot more sense now.
The coroner, the gun dealer, like anybody who could actually identify him was whacked, right?
Yeah, and it also, I think his Aunt Carla was digging through the coroner's files, right? She would have found out that maybe this body was exactly, which still stands to the question is, whose body was that? That was pregnant to death by seagulls.
The mob just has a ready supply of dead bodies just for
some random
situations.
Some random dude.
Some random Vernon's brother or something like that.
Hey, at that point,
it's in the Patsy vault. Just go grab a Patsy and toss it in there.
We already had a number of holiday victims it could have been.
That's true. That's true. Go on down
mangle
to
the body
morgue and collect one.
Toss it out there.
Yeah. This is all kind of so. Jamon, I know that you kept every issue or every episode. I asked you, who do you think it might be? And then as we progressed and the number of possibilities kind of came off the board because most of them were murdered, you kept circling back to Harvey, which I think is what Loeb pretty much wants you to think the entire time. Are you disappointed that it's not Harvey?
Not really. Not really. I think, in all honesty, Harvey would have been way too on the nose. I think even though everything was pointing at him throughout the series, I was like, this is too easy an answer.
Yeah, it would have been some simple ass writing and an anticlimactic story or anticlimactic reveal, I guess.
Right.
If it had ended up being him. All right then.
Now, Jermon, same question though. Who do you think it is? I am only half kidding.
Yes, you are.
Pull his mask off, and
it's still Vernon underneath the mask.
It's still fucking Vernon.
Well, they did the same thing. He did the same thing with Hush. Halfway through Hush, they revealed it was Jason Todd, and then nope, that wasn't right.
Well, even in Hush, the last chapter of Hush reveals that all of the supervillains got their power-ups because of the Riddler.
Yeah.
Right? And the Riddler turns out to be this late-stage mastermind of everything. I suspected the Riddler in that case, too, because he was the only villain who had turned up that wasn't powered up.
Right.
And that's the reason I thought the Riddler was going to come back in Hush and turn out to be some sort of mastermind.
I got to reread Hush because people are just like, Hush is amazing. And I'm like,
it's not
okay.
It's not
amazing.
It's overrated. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not as great as people.
It's great for Jim Lee as a story. Come on. There's a lot wrong with Hush.
Dave, have you read Hush?
Including that final revelation, which I don't think lands quite as well as it should. But
I have. Anyway. It's been a while, but yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I was not impressed with it.
Okay, all right then. Well, good to know that we have some common sense people on this.
Jim Lee is on fire in it, though. He is en fuego.
He did the art on that, right?
Oh yeah, that whole arc.
Right on.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we're pretty much the killer has been revealed at this point. And we're pretty much on the decline now. We're all wrapped up on this bad boy. With the besides our denouement issue that we have coming up, that kind of wraps things up. How has been your overall thoughts on this joint?
It's definitely been a fun ride, and I've kind of enjoyed going through it, especially the format we're doing it issue by issue, basically essentially in real time or whatever. Just going through all those twists and turns, and it's like, wait a minute, could it be this? Could it be that? What's going on here? And to see it finally start to come together, I was like, okay, this is pretty satisfying. I just hope they don't end up pulling a Bendis on it like the last issue or so. He's a good chunk of the stuff he had done. He's done at times has been kind of anticlimactic at the end, and they just never stuck the landing sometimes. So I hope this doesn't do it too.
Yeah, there's a lot of writers out there who have a very hard time sticking the landing.
It's what Stephen King is known for.
Well, Bendis is a good example of that. To be sure, I think Jeff Loeb is too. To be fair, so I don't know. See, I think once all is said and done with this, I think it's a very serviceable, sustained, all on its own storyline. Self-contained story. And there is still some shit to be seen. One of the things we've talked about through this whole show is that this story is ultimately about the transition from Gotham to mob run to chaotic cartoon supervillain run. And we know who the killer is now, but you witness the final transition in that last chapter. So there's still a lot to come.
Yeah, still a whole lot to come. Dave, did you get a chance to reread this issue before the podcast?
Oh yeah, I mean all of them.
Knowing how it turned out, this big reveal here, is it still as enjoyable now as it was on previous? Yeah,
it is, because my favorite panel in this issue is that reveal, that because it's just done so well. It's like just the motion of grabbing the flashlight and whipping around, and then he's just right there in the purple shades. It's dynamic.
Yeah. Now you do know, if I remember correctly, Sophia is in this issue, and this is that's not one of your favorite panels, huh?
That's not one of my favorite panels. No.
Oh man, that's how you know it's an impactful panel.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And speaking of which, Jamon, what are some of your go-to panels here in this issue?
I like that that second page where you see, and I think it's where you finally see like kind of what Brian was talking about, where things were moving from the mob influence to the crazy supervillains, where you see Harvey in the sewers with, of all people, Solomon Grundy.
Hungry ass Solomon Grundy.
Yes.
Solomon hungry.
He's like, Batman fucked up my plate once.
Which begs the question of, what does Solomon Grundy do down there all day?
I thought he was eating rats and stuff. But
I mean, his whole day consists of catching, eating rats, taking a nap, repeat.
He's living a peaceful existence.
Just living it seems like he kind of is just kind of living a peaceful existence down there in the sewers.
Well dressed for a sewer dweller. I mean,
yeah, he got a suit, got a blazer.
The Chuds could learn a lesson or two from him.
Who could?
The Chuds.
The Chuds. The Chuds could learn a lesson or two from Solomon Grundy. You heard it here first. Brian, what are some of your favorite panels in this?
There are a lot. That very first page of what are you, with that close up of Dent's bandaged face and his eye looking as janky as possible. The confrontation with Batman and Catwoman is great, but one of my absolute favorite panels from the entire run, maybe my favorite page from the entire run, is Batman on the balcony and the Roman pointing at him and invoking the title of the series and just bitching and bitching and bitching. And then Batman grabs his finger, and in the next frame, it's like tossed on the ground. And what Carmine does in this next panel that I don't see a lot of comic characters do is he provides his own sound effect. Because what he says there is womp, which is definitely the onomatopoeia sound of a body falling to the floor. And it's like he said it out loud.
It's like he clutched his pearls.
Yeah, that's the comic book equivalent of a hard fall right there, when you deliver your own onomatopoeia.
The letter is like, you want me to do what? Okay, I guess I can do that.
But yeah, I love the confrontation on the balcony. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, for me, my favorites is the confrontation between Batman and Gordon. When Gordon's like, how long have you known? And then Batman's looking at him, and then he just looks away. And that's when Gordon knows that he's been suspecting Harvey for quite some time. Even though the
fucker.
You say something, you son of a bitch.
Ever since the warehouse full of money?
You know what? Hey, yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good point you bring up. I wonder when exactly Batman started suspecting him.
It's got to be the warehouse full of money.
You think it is?
Gotta be.
Yeah.
He doesn't fully trust anybody ever.
Yeah, that's that own seed of doubt, but
he also doesn't think. He also doesn't think it's possible. Right?
It's very uncharacteristic of Batman to trust someone that much.
Yeah. So I wonder if at any point Batman's like, this motherfucker Jim Gordon been missing a lot lately. I need to check into his whereabouts too.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything else? Oh, there's another great panel as well. Gilda, because we can't not talk about Gilda. I love that Loeb takes a moment to remind us that Gilda is still around, because all Gotham is all fucked up. Just as fucked up, if not even more, is Harvey and Gilda's entire marriage. Because we don't see them together a whole lot in this issue, and the last time you do, it's not a great confrontation those two have. And when she comes down to the basement and there's Batman hiding in the shadows, just chilling out in the shadows, that's also a pretty good panel too. Had you forgotten about Gilda, Jermon?
I was kind of curious as to what, because of course so what happened to Harvey is obviously gonna affect her. But it's funny because I actually suspected that their marriage wasn't on solid ground from the get-go.
Oh, you don't think so, huh?
It seemed like there was some undertones there that they were like Harvey had some problems that he needed to deal with way before he got the acid thrown at him.
Yeah, Dave, I saw you nod. Did you think that too?
No.
No?
I think it was mainly, I think it was mainly due to him diving headfirst into his work all the time. Because they kind of alluded to that when him and Gordon's wife were talking. It's like, because she, of course, Gordon's wife is already used to it. She's kind of new to to this.
Yeah, Harvey spends a lot of time motorboating Lady Justice. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Here's something
I didn't see anything between him and Gilda that was different from Gordon and Barbara. So I just cop's wife kind of stuff.
There's something interesting about the floor in the Dent's basement that I really just noticed for the first time going back through this issue today. But it looks almost like an unassembled puzzle.
Yeah.
The way the I don't know, stains on the floor, or what the hell is all that? I don't know, but got a water leak.
Some unfinished
nice
tile.
cobblestone.
Maybe that's what it is. You go down there and you get Town and Country on them.
Oh, maybe that's it.
We also get a little bit of visit from the Calendar Man. That's just all set up for the next story, right? What comes after this? Is it
I don't
Victory?
think. Yeah, Dark Victory's next, but I don't know that it really sets up any of that. I really think it's just set up for the final issue, really, because we're not done yet. I do think, though, that based on the Calendar Man's conversation, I do think that we should have called the Dark Knight Harvey Dent, Dawn of Two-Face.
Which I don't think that's supposed to be clever writing, because it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
This is the very first time I ever noticed it, and it's only because of Batman v Superman that I really even thought about it, and I was like, oh, Harvey Dent, I get it. That's really cute, and that's something Loeb was giggling about when he wrote it.
Whole time.
God, I'm so clever.
I'm a genius.
I'm a genius. We also get a little bit of Catwoman in here as well. I don't got a whole lot to say about that. She's just been kind of sulking around in the background this entire series.
Now that, I feel, is set up for later on. Like, a lot of what she's been doing and a lot of Batman, what he says about her here, like, why are you always around?
That does take more. That gets developed more in Dark Victory. And
Win in Rome. Like, both of those series kind of pick up.
I never read Win in Rome.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much explicitly about this, about Catwoman's relationship with the Roman.
Okay, because I know she gave him the scratches on his face in year one, and then she's just
spoilers. He might be her father.
Oh well, then there you go.
You'll have to read. Well, that was the pitch for the series, so I'm not really spoiling anything there, really, because then the series happens. That's sort of the thing that propels it forward.
Okay.
Right on. Now, Jermon, in a murder mystery, we have now revealed who our murderer is. Like, mystery's pretty much done and wrapped up, right? Gordon's there, Batman's there. I'm assuming that Vernon didn't shoot Gordon because who knows how many shots were left in that gun. Not Vernon, I'm sorry. Alberto Falcone.
Who said Batman was there?
I said Batman was there.
Good point. We don't know that.
Oh, somebody's there. Yeah.
Because Gordon that
That's a masked cop that's with him.
That's a husky masked cop.
It is a very, very well built cop.
Looking about as inconspicuous as Bruce Wayne did at that, what was it, like church service or something? What was
the courtroom?
The courtroom.
Yeah, the courtroom.
Right.
Like a fucking linebacker, like the fridge is back there in the back.
Mr. Perry's joined us. Yeah, sorry for that spoiler for you, Javon. There is a masked cop who is there with Gordon, whose face has not been revealed. But yeah, we know who our murderer is now. So what's left in this?
I'm assuming the motive. We got to find out why he did all that. And
okay, it's 22 pages. The next issue is just 22 pages.
Is it only 22? I thought it was one of them jumbo-sized issues.
Is it? I'm not.
I think it is. It's like a jumbo-sized one, like the first issue. I think it's 48.
I still want you to record yourself like reading this issue, Jermon, so I can get your
last one.
Forgot about that. I forgot about that. It looks like Comixology. Do they sell it in the individuals? Just trying to get a page count here. There we go. Issue 13 is 50 pages.
Oh wow!
It's just a 50-page monologue by Alberto Falcone.
It's just
they got some explaining to do.
And then it's
that's the title of the issue. Some splaining to do.
Some splaining to do. And in the very last panel, you see Vernon slipping off into the darkness. Okay, so yeah, we still have a lot of ground to cover, man. We're gonna get some motive reveal. Is there anything else that you can see? Is it just pretty much your standard wrap up?
Probably. I would think that's probably it. Yeah, just the motive, and then I guess eventually.
What do you think his motive is?
Oh, it's a good question.
I'm thinking it's just a power play on the mob world in general.
But didn't take him seriously, and he's doing running his own game.
Yeah, trying to kind of strike out on his own more or less, like because he was targeting people from both families. So
yeah. And that's where, as much as the Godfather comparisons come in with this series, that's where you will see the big diverge happen, because Mike Corleone wasn't out there clapping up Barzinis and Tatalias and other Corleones or anything like that. So that's where the big diverge comes from.
I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about with this on the next episode. It's because the next issue it's chock full of stuff.
Chock full of stuff.
It's wild. It's a wild final issue.
I got to the end of this issue when I was reading last night, and I just turned that page. And I was like, nope, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't fall in.
Don't fall in. Don't fall in. I don't know how, Jermon, you've managed to maintain any sense of discipline throughout this whole thing.
I think I do, and that's because Jermon's got about 560 comic books in a stack that he hasn't read yet.
Yeah, I actually just put the majority of that stuff, filed it all away by just about.
Oh wow!
All right,
my stack's getting that.
You cut through it during the pandemic, huh?
I cut through it during the last month. That's
what was the onus for that?
What's that?
What was the onus for that?
Just nothing else to do during this past month, so I was like,
okay.
This thing is getting unruly on my coffee table, so I need to work it down.
And didn't somebody you just went to Rebel Base yesterday?
Yeah.
Somebody came into Jermon's house and was like, "Hey, when did you get this pillar?"
Somebody came in Jermon's house and they're like, I thought this was Rebel Base.
Luckily, like because now I went to a couple shops. I went to Rebel Base. I've been to Heroes last week. I went out to Cornelius to was it Parker Banner?
Kent Wayne.
Mm-hmm. And just to pick up some odds and ends, like I've been, I'll be reading through a series or something. It's like, oh, I'm missing this issue. I need to go find it. And
okay. All right. I got to stop by Heroes to pick up my bag. I got some X comics in there, and I think Dawn of X Volume 7 also shows.
Luckily, the way my stuff flows, I might get one big week where like a bunch of different titles come in, and then the rest of the month it might be a book here, a book there.
Right on. See, you could take that time to read that big stack down while little stuff's coming out.
Did anybody check out this? Getting kind of veering back towards Batman. Anybody check out the Three Jokers?
I just read it this morning.
Yeah,
How is that?
That is some wild shit.
Yeah.
The Three Jokers.
Highest possible recommendation right now.
Absolutely.
They set it up like 4 years ago.
And after reading this first issue, I'm not even sure that it has anything to do with that. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know how much it has to do with Batman sitting on that Mobius chair and finding out that there were multiple Jokers running around. I don't know yet, but there was some wild shit in this issue.
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess I'll have to put it into the stack there. I heard a lot of good talk about it on Twitter. People are like, this Three Jokers is nonsense.
It may exist outside of continuity. I don't know. And if it does, that's totally fine with me. It's just a very interesting story so far.
Because one of my buddies at the shop, he was talking about it, and he said he read it, and he was like, I hope this is actually canon. Like that's how good he thought it was.
It's $6.99 for this issue. Fuck
yes. Those black
40. I think it's 48 pages. I think it got your. It's one of your classic. 54 pages. That's even better than the last issue of Long Halloween. That's pretty great.
All right. Well, shit. I might have to check this out. So yeah, is that to wrap up our Long Halloween shit. So a lot of surprises happened here. A lot of oh shit moments. Batman gets around like a mofo.
And I really do like the scene between Dent and Grundy at the beginning, and how Dent's like, wait, I know this. I know how to talk to this guy, and he just goes through the entire rhyme, and then it's kind of like the sun's getting real low.
Yeah.
but for Solomon Grundy, and he just sort of sits down, and then he looks so put out afterwards. Like, well, you know the whole thing.
I don't even know the whole thing.
As long as you don't punch him in the nose, he's like, I'm good. It's like,
but that shot of him sitting across from him and asking, "Can a man live two lives?" That's another really great panel.
And I think that is indicative. The one thing I liked about that is we find out that Dent knows how to get to the heart of this villain, which could kind of steamroll from there, I guess you could say. And I think that's it for Labor Day Long Halloween talk. Speaking, I wonder if this is intentional, because I think this is the most work Batman puts in the entire series.
Oh, absolutely.
Everywhere on Labor Day, Batman puts in the most amount of work.
Also, something else, and a fun bit of trivia to throw out there for this one too, is that this is the only issue for which there wasn't a trinket left at the scene, right? That we can tell.
No, not yet.
And what the fuck are you going to leave for Labor Day? So it's like
it's an old job application.
It would just be like literally like Alberto Falcone's paycheck stub. Oh, I think we just cracked this one wide open, boys.
Batman's like, give me 13 more issues to figure it out, though.
I'll mention this as far as Labor Day stuff goes. Typically, my birthday is on Labor Day. So that's the next Thursday, the 3rd, I'll be turning the big 4-1.
Big 4-1. Damn, Dave, I had no idea you were that old.
Yeah, I know, right?
Black don't crack, man.
Black don't crack.
Black don't crack, man. Dave don't grave.
Yeah, there it is. I am immortal. I am inside me, blood of kings.
Okay, yeah, right on. Labor Day. So do you do anything for your birthday, Dev? Or do you
I typically don't.
Yeah, you just
because,
give it
because
low
that
key
day
and
I
chill?
typically have that day off, and like no one else is typically around, so I usually just end up doing stuff for by myself. But I have had some notable ones in the past. Spent some time at a convention, and it was a grand time.
Grand time. All right.
Grand
All
time.
right.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with
usually,
self-care.
because usually, yeah, Dragon Con would be going on around this time.
Yeah, it wasn't Dragon Con. I went to MagFest. Dragon Con
Oh,
is way
Magfest.
too big for me.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
it's too big for me to really enjoy. I can drink anywhere.
Right.
It's Labor Day, but like we get the day off. Shouldn't it be the reverse? Like that Monday we work super hard and then we get 4 days off afterwards? Like
I trade for that.
I'd trade for that. Put me to work on Monday and
All
then just
day.
let me chill Tuesday to Friday, man, and just skate by the rest of the week.
if you really wanted to show appreciation for the like labor unions and the laborers of the world, then I think that would be better.
you know,
I think you had you posed a good idea, Brian, in the thread about Labor Day.
yeah, get it rolling, Brian.
I mean, it's very hard to like you were saying, like, do you do anything special for Labor Day? Yeah, not fucking get out of bed. You know? But so I thought we could talk about, instead of talking about what we do for that holiday, talk about the jobs that we've all had in the past, for better and worse, like best jobs, worst jobs, any sort of work that we've done.
Right on, right on.
That has earned us the Labor Day holiday.
That's what I had written down here was best job and worst job. I'll go ahead and kick it off. My favorite job I ever had was I was a doorman. Their fancy word for bouncer at the Flying Saucer, which we have here in Charlotte, where we're located at. But I worked at the one in San Antonio when I lived there, because that's where I moved from. And it was one of the more well-liked bars in the city. And it's one that people loved coming to, which means no one ever wanted to start trouble there, because they knew if they started trouble, they get tossed out. They're not going to be allowed back. They can't get back in on the fun. So working at doorman at A, my favorite bar, B, that I lived literally across the street from. It was the easiest cake gig of my life. And I loved it. I knew all the waitresses that worked there. So when it was slow, they would just come by and chat and BS. San Antonio, for the most part, has fairly nice weather. They were standing outside the establishment the whole time waiting for people to come in. Just enjoyed nice weather. Like 2 stores down was like an ice cream joint that made their own cones. So the right breeze, you just smell waffle cone coming through all day.
Nice.
It was a cake job. And by across the street, I mean I could hop in there and be in my apartment parking spot before my seatbelt seatbelt started coming on. That's how quick a drive it was for me. And then you get off.
You actually drove. That's
Hell yeah, I drove.
Well, that's got to be that. Is the San Antonio one like the flagship saucer, or was?
I don't think it's the flagship one.
I can't remember. I thought it got
Austin
started.
might be.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure saucer started in Texas.
Yeah, because
But,
Texas has the most saucers. I think I've been to San Antonio, I've been to Austin, I've been to Dallas, and another one in Texas. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Love the flying saucer. I've got the one here in Charlotte. I do have a plate on the wall.
Very nice. Very
Quite-
nice.
Quite an achievement for me, and that happened also when I was the brief window when I was living up in North Charlotte. So it was like I had like 50 beers left to get to a plate, and I was like, I had like 3 weeks where I was living in North Charlotte, and I'm like, all right, to divide that, I can only have 3 per day.
Yeah.
So, and I made that shit happen.
What was I going to say about that? Yeah, so the Flying Saucer, for those that are listening that might not know, they specialize in having a nice selection of beer, different kinds of craft beer.
Used to be about the only place you could go to get like a selection of craft beer around the country like that. Like this was where I would go to drink before like the brewery boom, at least as it was here in like the Charlotte area. So
yeah, I mean it's pretty much like that in San Antonio too. Now the brewing boom is happening down there as well. It's not quite as heavily trafficked, but I always save that 200 beer because I've done that trip around 4 times. So I got the 4 ring on my plate there, and each time that last beer is just the shittiest beer that I can find in there. It's like it's Miller Lite or it's Coors or something like that. My
Blue Ribbon.
Yes, I have done Pabst before as my 200. My least favorite job, Starbucks. Is working at the Starbucks on East Boulevard specifically. I've worked for Starbucks 4 times, and I've loved pretty much every time and absolutely hated that store, the manager, the people that worked there. I worked for about a week and a half and said, fuck this, I'm out.
Wow.
And just text the manager, because I was also one of their shift leads. And I was like, hey, find somebody else to cover the week because it ain't happening, chief. And they were not happy. The boyfriend of the manager of that store works at the store close to where I work in Ballantyne. So I have to see that guy like every other day. And I still get, that was 2 years ago, and I still get death glares from that guy. But who else got some best worst jobs out there?
Oh, boy.
What you got, Javon?
I would have to say my best or my favorite place I've ever worked was when I lived in Virginia. I was actually working in a comic shop. I was there for like 5 years. Oh man, like granted, it was very low paying. Of course, it's a local owned bookstore and all that stuff. But I had the time of my life there. Like probably met some of my best friends. Just being able to be in there and just shoot shit with people for hours on end was just something else. Like it had one of those like nice little homey feels there. You go in there. We had a shop cat. The owner would come in, like guys would come down and play chess with him and stuff. The whole environment was awesome.
That sounds like a great environment, man. I guess we really don't have like Heroes here. Kind of has that homey vibe, and it's homey just because it got a lot smaller because it got kicked out of their original location.
That is why I do like to frequent Rebel Base generally, because I do like the level of banter there a little more.
Yeah, I just never really connected with Rebel Base like that. Like that place is just too much. There's too much shit happening in that little.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
It does feel like a swap meet, but I think that's where it has its appeal.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
What about you usually go there to dig through stuff,
Yeah, and me not really being much of a digger of individual issues because I'm more of a trade guy. That never really had that appeal to me.
Yeah, like at Rebel Base, anything older than a week, you're going to be digging for it, and it's like,
oh yeah,
holy
absolutely.
crap!
Yeah. See,
I went in there to find, because I decided like 3 weeks after the fact, I'm like, I think I'm going to check out Dark Knight's Death Metal. I like the first series enough, and I don't have a whole lot on my plate right now. Sure, I'll check it out. And I went to Rebel Base to pick up the first issue of that. And I was in there for probably a solid 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And I was only there for that.
Yeah, they aren't as quick to pull like their back issues off the shelves as say Heroes. Heroes usually keeps maybe 2 months worth of stuff up there.
I'm pretty sure that if you go all the way to the back, like where the back of the tray meets the back of the board, I think you can find a copy of Amazing Fantasy number 15.
I wouldn't be surprised. I moved when I first moved here because of course in the transition, I missed a few months of books, and I went in there and I was like, wait a minute, holy crap! They have the entire run of Ed Brubaker's Uncanny X-Men. It's like, let me get caught up here.
Yeah.
What about worst jobs, Javon?
Oh boy, gosh. You see, I have 2 candidates here. I don't know which one of those. Yeah, I worked at. I remember for 6 months when I first moved here, I worked at Dillard's in South Park. That was not fun by any stretch of the imagination. Like, first off, this was like around the holiday season, and yeah. And during that time, they played like Nat King Cole all day. No human being should know the words to Ramblin' Rose. Like, you're singing something other than Unforgettable. It's something like it got to a point literally where me and all my coworkers would be standing around, literally singing this song together in unison, like some kind of twisted musical or whatever.
That's not what you want. That's called indoctrination, sir.
Yeah, but it was bad. Like they they had like a sales quota, I guess a certain amount of stuff you had to sell per day, and it was somebody, like you sold something to somebody and they ended up returning it for whatever reason, that would deduct from your sales quota.
What?
Yeah, it was bullshit. It was complete bullshit. Like it got to a point where we can kind of feel out when somebody was being kind of wishy-washy about a purchase.
Yeah.
So we would push them off to somebody else.
Oh man!
Here, go on over there and talk to.
There was this lady that came in and she was like, "I want to get a sweater for my husband, but I don't know which one he would like. I'm just going to get 13 of them and let him try them all out." And I was like, "No, let me let you talk to this lady here. She'll help you out."
You should reply with, "Man, fuck your husband." Glad about your
and then the day after Christmas, oh my God! Like there were so many damn returns. Like people were seeing their quotas like going to the negatives and stuff. It was so bad.
That's not what you want at all. For us working at Starbucks, Christmas is not as bad as you think it is, actually, because most people are at home doing Christmas shit. But Black Friday is the worst damn day on the face of the planet.
Oh man,
but
the lines never end.
The lines never end. But Starbucks has always been a part-time job for me, so I got to go do Air Force stuff when I was working in the Air Force, and then I come and close the store. So on Black Friday, I'm just like, hey, I'm a closer, and by that point, everybody's all shopped out and they're back home, so it's just a normal day for me.
Like at that point, most of the world looks like, or most of America looks like the post Battle of Pelennor Fields in Return of the King.
It's looking like Walking Dead episode 1.
Just stepping over bodies left and right.
He was too weak to buy this sound system.
Between that and then CIAA weekend was really big in there.
Well, people come down for sports and go to Dillard's?
They went there. People were going in there buying all kinds of outfits and stuff. Like there were folks getting their whole sweatsuits and all this stuff. It's just like
Nelly showed up with a new sweatsuit.
A lot of old players in there, man. A lot of old players.
What about you, Dave? What are some of your best and worst jobs?
Let's see here. The best job that I had that I did not get paid for, actually got paid in store credit, was I was helping a buddy out when he was running a store in Pineville, Retro Reboot.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was fun because just dealing with just interacting with people that come in to buy or trade games, action figures, movies, that kind of stuff. It was cushy, and like I said, it was really cool. It's just fun, like kind of like working in a comic shop. It was just a place where I resonated with the space, and it was really cool. Worst job would be when I went to apply. This is a summer gig way back before I guess it was maybe in high school, like early high school. And I decided to try out being a newspaper delivery person, delivering to actual different shops and stuff near downtown Chattanooga. So I went there and I got the job. I went there, and on my first day, the guy toured me around the city. And this is the days before GPS. He showed me the route, and it was impossibly long, and it had so many different stops. And to add insult to injury, like after you do your route, the next day you come back by and you pick up those any papers that were unsold, and any papers that didn't sell, they deducted from your paycheck.
What? Oh wow!
Yeah.
What the
and
hell?
So I learned that at the end of the first night, and I said to the guy, "No, I'm good. I'm not coming back."
just throw those papers in a lake.
Yeah.
It's just we cleaned them all out.
That's crazy.
This new guy Dave is great, man. He never comes back with any papers, and meanwhile, like the bottom of the lake is just filled with
the lake is
pulp.
Lake's completely dry.
It's like scientists discovered a new man-made reef.
Oh, that'd be good. The mobster drops a body off at the lake, and they gotta drag it, and Dave finally gets busted from.
They toss it off a bridge, and it lands with a thud. And the body's just there on top of the water. Like, shit, what the fuck is this?
What's in here? Oh, that's great. That's great. Oh, yeah, that's a pretty shitty job. Yeah, that is terrible. Speaking of like of something crappy like that, man. I was almost had a chance to work in a comic shop like Second and Charles last year. I was like, I'll pick up another part-time job, give me some extra ducats, man. Let me see what Second and Charles is talking about. Went through the whole interview. They're all good. And at the very end of the interview, so they're like, so, yep, I think we're going to go ahead and give you this job. Here's some paperwork. We're going to start you off at $7 an hour. And I was like,
whoa.
what? If y'all could have seen Jermon's face right then there, he felt disrespected by that. And I was like, no, thank you. You won't be here.
$7 an hour.
$7 an hour. Second and Charles right there on what is that, Tyvola?
Yeah, Tyvola.
Everything is at a discount.
I think they mostly employ like high school kids or something, you know.
That's not even legal.
I was going to say, they mostly employ like felons and undocumented people. I don't know, like what? Like, jeez.
Yeah, I was. I should have known when I went there to. I dropped off like my PlayStation 3 and like 14 games back in the day to try to sell, and they're like about $50, and I was like, get my shit back.
Yeah, right.
And I will never go back.
They're not as bad as GameStop with that.
Yeah.
You're gonna look me dead in the eye and tell me my Grand Theft Auto game is only worth 90 cents? It's like,
I'm about to Grand Theft Auto this whole store. What about you, Brian?
Well, the best job I ever had. I mean, the longest job I ever had, and you don't keep a job for this long if you don't enjoy it on some level. Is probably when I worked at a movie theater for just over a decade. I worked at a movie theater in Myrtle Beach, and started there when I was in high school, and went from popcorn jockey to projectionist to shift supervisor to assistant manager to general manager over the course of 10 years or so. And there was a lot about the job I hated. The long hours. This idea that like when I took over as general manager, my regional manager told me, he's like, well, you work a 40-hour week. You have to work open to close 5 days a week. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop you right there, because mathematically that's already like 75 hours.
Right.
Like, what are you fucking talking about? We open at like 9:30 in the morning and the last movie is done at like 12:30. What are you talking about? So on the one hand, once you get to a certain point, there's like nobody to look after you but you, right? But what do you get out of it? I mean, I didn't pay for a movie for over 10 years of my life.
Lovely.
I got to. I certainly left there with a number of posters over the years. There was a time I famously tried to
standees.
There was a time, summer of '98, I actually tried to fit one of the standees for the X-Files movie into my parents' minivan. And I am so glad that didn't work, because the space that you've got to work with in a movie theater lobby maybe sets an unfair precedent for what you might have to work with in your own home. Because it would never have been feasible. But it was a glorious standee, though. But yeah, I mean, like, got to watch a lot of movies before they came out. I saw Phantom Menace the afternoon before the midnight shows. Saw multiple movies just like well in advance, or like 2 or 3 days in advance of the Gen Pop getting to see it, and that was always fun. Had to screen all the movies. Like, all the movies we played had to be screened, because this was before digital projectors. And so like one of the first movies I ever built together, like reel by reel by reel, was Stigmata with Gabriel Byrne in it.
Yeah.
And we're sitting in there, I built it up, we're sitting in there screening it, and all of a sudden, like, the movie cuts from like a coffee shop to a shot of a car on fire going up. Like, it was falling off a bridge, but it was going back up to the bridge, and I was like, oh fuck, I screwed this up. It was the end of the next reel spliced to the end of the preceding reel, and I had to go up and fix that. But things like that happened all the time, and it was always hilarious. I do remember, though, there were as many bad memories as good, though, because like one of the movies I had to screen that nobody else would do was Larry the Cable Guy Health Inspector. I'm
sorry.
And I literally paced the floor in the auditorium the entire time that thing was running. I was just muttering to myself, nobody's going to see this shit. Why am I even watching this? One of my favorite stories a buddy of mine told at the theater was that he had worked at a movie theater in the mid-'80s when Out of Africa came out, and there was a reel on their copy that was in the wrong place. Like, they had reversed reels like 3 and 5, and it was a week before anybody noticed. And I felt the same way about Larry the Cable Health Inspector. I was like, this could be running backwards, and nobody would give a shit. Yeah. But so that was probably my favorite job was the movie theater, and the connections, because everybody who works in a movie theater, it's either people who are just kind of transient and they're just here for a paycheck, but the people who stick with it are the ones that are like, I just fucking love movies, you know. And so you make a lot of really good connections with people working in an environment like that. Worst job, though, was probably when I first moved to Charlotte, I worked at Office Max for a year. And it was just mind-numbingly bad. I used to joke that it was an Office Max on South Boulevard, right next to Target, and right outside of Pineville. And and I used to joke with the people there that, like, it's like the city in The Mummy, like it only appears once every 1,000 years, and like that's when like a customer remarkably finds it, because we were like behind bushes and stuff, and people would drive around the parking lot and finally come in and be like, I've been driving around for like 20 minutes looking for this place, and I'm like, why?
The sun had to hit it just right, so the mirage came in.
Like, why didn't you just give up? Because, I mean, it's not that great.
Circuit City's right over there. I mean,
Circuit City.
But man, I got a job there, and I applied for like a management position, didn't end up getting it, and then people came in and got promoted ahead of me. Like, people kept coming in for that position, and I'm like, these people barely have enough brain power to toast a slice of bread, and I'm sitting over here languishing at this. It was just I was really not happy at that job. But what your mom said about Dillard's reminded me. I had a job once for a holiday. It was just a holiday job at New York and Company. My wife, then girlfriend, was working there part-time through college. And during the holiday season, I just picked up hours at New York and Company and worked in the stock room. And what a job. I mean, all I did was fold clothes all day. And yes, the music repeated once an hour, and I still have it kind of stuck in my head. But man, I like the few times I had to go out and interact with any humans, they would stop and ask me, oh, do you have this, or where's this? And I would just say, I'm sorry, it's my first day. And I would walk away. And I said that, I said that for a solid fucking month.
Oh, man.
And it always worked. It was great.
Well done, sir. Well done. I worked at the AMC 2015. And for me, I think I might have said this on Twitter a little while ago. For me, there's always a red flag in an interview. And if they're interviewing you, is winding down, and they offer you the job right then and there, that means they're desperate. And I don't know what they're desperate for. I don't know if they just need bodies, or if somebody left and they just need somebody to cover that. But if there's 4 times I've been offered a job right at the end of the interview. The Starbucks job I ended up hating. The Second and Charles job that I ended up not going with. And one of them was AMC. And I didn't realize that it was the last week of April of 2015, which means in 7 days, the world gets Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And they knew the rush that was going to come, and they just wanted every body possible.
Yeah,
it was like that every summer at the movie theater. It would be like you'd be ramping up, and like when you're hiring for a movie theater, it like almost doesn't matter what type of person you get in there. Like, I mean, can you shovel popcorn? Do you know the difference between a nickel and a dime? Like it was
strange enough. Those are my interview questions. It was weird
because the thing about it, at least when I was both working there and managing it, is yeah, I mean, you get a very widespread inaptitude at a movie theater, and eventually, I had somebody who put in an application once, and you know, on an application there'll be that part that says, are you known by any other names, or like, do you go by any other names? So it'd be like if your name was William and you went by Bill. Like, I seriously, when I was going through my stack of applicants at one point, somebody had filled out that space DUI. And I'm like,
Oh,
your fucking nickname is DUI, and you thought you would put that on a fucking application for employment?
Wow.
That's what you're dealing with. That's like, to me, that's what movie theaters are dealt with. So they probably saw you walk in there and thought, this guy seems like he knows the difference between a light switch and a power outlet. We got to get it.
I've had a similar situation myself. I was applying to this one place to work in their kitchen, and it felt like they were just way too eager to have me on board and stuff. You know, tell me all the amenities and what the job entailed and blah blah blah, and they're like, we'd love to have you aboard and da 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 da. And when I kind of probed him a little bit, and when I heard the words, "Okay, we're going to be honest with you," I was like, "Oh shit."
No.
He's like, "Yeah, we want to get to a point where we're not employing all temps." I was like, "You have all temps working here right now?"
No.
Yikes. That's not a good sign.
I got the red flag when I applied to work at Walmart. And they hired me on the spot for one thing, but the major red flag was they had you take kind of a questionnaire, like an introduction kind of packet or whatever, and they had questions on there like, if given the opportunity, would you steal? Yes or no? Like, that kind of stuff. And I filled it out, turned it in, and when the guy came back to me, he's like, "Well, we're going to hire you." And strangely enough, no one's ever gotten a perfect score on this questionnaire before.
Thieving bastards!
Like, come on, it can't. That's the caliber of workers you have at Walmart.
But also,
I left that job on the first day too.
If they put yes, you are possibly hiring either the most honest person,
Right,
or a thief.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe both.
Maybe both. Sometimes you gotta take the bad with the good.
Yeah, my story like that, where it was a job that was just thrown to me, was sadly enough when I got a job as a middle school English teacher. And I had sworn off middle school twice in my life at that point, because both when I was a student in middle school and I finished 8th grade, and I'm like, I'm never stepping foot in one of these goddamn hell holes again. And then when I was a substitute teacher for a stint of time, and I was like, I'm never going back to a middle school ever again. What the fuck was I thinking? And then when I finished my master's program and I was looking for a job, I got contacted about teaching at this middle school, and I went into the interview, and I'm like, you guys know I'm not certified to teach middle school, right? I'm certified to teach high school. That's what my certification is for, secondary ed. And they're like, it's fine. Is it fine? Because here's the thing, I got all the way through that year before someone at the school came to me. It was like literally like mid to late May, and she's like, yeah, it looks like you're not certified to teach. I'm like, yeah, no shit.
You should have looked her right in her eyes and said, it's fine.
Right. He said it's fine. Anyway, that was honestly, that year teaching middle school was probably the worst job I had in my life. I just didn't want to talk about it because it's like, I don't want to shit on the public education system, but goddamn.
I mean, the whole southern U.S. shits on the public education system, sir.
Oh,
yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah. It's like an Ouroboros of shit. It's like, it's just this endless loop of shit. And nobody knows who shat first. Yeah. It's just been on a constant loop.
Constant loop. And I think that's a great way to wind this episode down.
The Ouroboros of shit.
The Ouroboros of shit. We have one more of these left to do here, fellas. Jamon, are you looking forward to the end of this here business?
Oh, absolutely. This has been a fun ride, definitely.
I agree. It's been a fun ride. So we will go ahead and wrap this here episode, this Labor Day episode up. I have no idea what we're going to talk about next episode because we already talked about Halloween on the first episode.
I think we should talk about what we would have done for this Halloween had it not been in the middle of a pandemic.
I'm going to see what questions I can come up with. I got a couple of Halloween questions I might be able to pull out the old hat. Yeah, all right.
Okay. Take listener questions.
Take
Yeah.
listening questions. All three of you that listen to this here show, we're gonna get this shit figured out. All
See
right.
if we can get Jeff Loeb. Jeff Loeb should submit questions to us.
Oh, you know what? Does he have a Twitter? I want to reach out to Loeb and Sale because Sale was going to be
Sale
at
has Twitter.
Heroes Con this year.
Yeah, probably
So
would have been there.
I was going to ask him if he wanted to guest on this show, but
I don't think it's a
fucking
good idea.
virus.
Actually, I don't think it's a good idea to have Loeb on because my first question is going to be ultimatum. What were you thinking?
Twitter was getting on his case a couple of weeks ago about something. I forgot what it was, but
It was some sort of like, I think he treated like minorities horribly on the set of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something. I don't know.
it's something. It's something. It's always something with that guy. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll be back next month, I guess next Halloween, with our last episode of Batman, The Long Halloween. Until then, you guys take it easy and have a good one.